Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the September 26, 2020 edition.
Are they still here after the last video?
I certainly hope so. The September 26, 2020 edition of Pro Wrestling Throwdown. I'm Caleb Black. Luke the Big Dog Williams. The Mighty Max Fury are very, very just
naughty.
Just a naughty little man in studio producer. Get out of here. You filth. You disgust me. We are talking What If, another new segment. We've done something similar to this with Armchair Booking, where we're just going to talk about some what ifs in wrestling. One of the very cool ones that Luke propositioned was what would have happened if the $1 Million Man purchase of the world title from Andre the Giant would have held. I'll let Luke give you the background, and then we'll dissect it a little.
Okay. Saturday night's main event. I don't have the exact date, so yeah, one of the first ones.
We had a producer around here.
Was the rematch for WrestleMania 3.
Yeah.
Andre the Giant challenges Hulk Hogan for the championship.
Yeah.
At one point, referee Earl Hebner counts the 3 count, fast count. Andre the Giant wins the championship. Then you find out it's 2 referees. The evil
Hebner.
$1 Million Man had paid a referee to get facial construction surgery to look like Earl Hebner.
Couldn't have just said like he bought Earl Hebner's twin brother,
right,
which would have made it work.
So he wins the title. Yeah. Andre does. The very next Saturday night's main event comes out and he's like, I'm going to sell you
World Tag Team Championship.
The World Tag Team Championship.
Even though he's the World Heavyweight Champion.
Big Man. $1 Million Man buys it.
Yeah.
But of course, the president at the time, Jack Tunney, puts the kibosh on that.
Yeah.
Title is thrown up for WrestleMania 4, to which, as everyone knows, if you know the history, the Macho Man Savage beats the $1 Million Man for the Heavyweight Championship in a one-night tournament. Now, question I pose is, what if the title sale actually was held up and then actually went through?
Honestly, I mean, we would have recognized $1 Million Man as a world champion, but I don't see them keeping the belt on him. I still see him dropping it to Macho. Maybe done in a different way, but it was always pegged for Macho to take the belt. That way, I will say,
February 5th, 1988.
There you go. I give them credit for finding a creative way to get the belt off of somebody. Like, that was you've never seen that done at that point.
Well, at the time, the title was taken off of Hogan due to the whole...
Yeah.
They were going to do the No Holds Barred movie. They off TV, interchange the title and all that. Even though Hogan come back for WrestleMania and was part of the tournament,
it's very confusing. But he wasn't going to be there long term, so they couldn't put the belt back on him.
I honestly think that the $1 Million Man probably would have had a lengthy reign.
Think so?
I think he would have reigned from September to that WrestleMania, and then had Macho go over.
Yeah, I could see that.
I do believe that the $1 Million Man is one of the very few heels in professional wrestling that didn't win the title.
No, we didn't.
Kind of like Jake in a way.
Yeah. Jake and Piper, they never needed the belt.
They never needed the belt. The belt was extra.
They needed their heat, and they got it.
The $1 Million Man, of course, after the title was taken, that's when the $1 Million Man created the Dollar Championship.
Yep.
And we were off to the races.
What a cool... Again, a very first time you've ever seen it where a guy's like, I'm just going to make my own belt. It's going to matter. Like the FTR title or FTW title with, Taz and ECW and now in AEW. It was legitimately, they had world title, they had their TV title, they had their tag team titles, and Taz was like, well, fuck it, I'm bringing my own belt.
Only 2 people possessed that title. I don't count this.
Taz and Sabu.
Is it Sabu? Yep. And Sabu was pissed because Taz's name was on it, so he took a piece of tape and wrote Sabu on it.
Very ECW.
But I think the $1 Million Man would have been a great champion, great heel champion. I believe because of the fact it was transitional, it wouldn't have had as much impact in history, but raised Ted DiBiase's price tag.
Yeah.
It would have given him clout and stroke with the higher ups.
Yeah.
But in the end, I mean, it didn't take place. And what a shitty way for Andre the Giant to be represented as champion.
Yeah.
Of course, Andre never needed the title.
No, well,
because let's be honest,
Andre was an attraction.
Who's going to take the title from Andre?
In real life, like who's going to beat the 7 foot? With the exceptions of like the Hulk Hogan and the Harley Race, who's just a legitimately tough son of a bitch in the world.
But here's the deal: you put the title on Andre. Andre decides, I'm just going to be champion.
Yeah.
he's going to take.
Well, remember, he worked Hogan, Vince, and Jake all the way up to the last minute. Mania 3, Hogan didn't even know he was... But again, who's going to go to him, especially and put him in a bad mood and be like, you're doing the job. And then he just kind of looked, what do you shoot on?
Yeah.
Like, just rip,
You're going to swallow you whole with this 27
with this,
beer.
right, with the 35 tall boys that I just finished and the 19 steaks.
Right.
I still got room.
Honestly, I think that they really dropped the ball with Andre being champion.
Yeah,
I think that if he was willing to work, it would have been great, but he didn't need it.
No.
But I think them doing it that way, where he just kind of was like, here's this title, you can have it.
It keeps his heat, and it paints the picture that he didn't care about having the belt, which is a great way to keep that gimmick and keep heat, is that you make him out to be a selfish prick who doesn't care about, he only cares about the money, and it was a great way to sell that story, too, and get a return match later where you could have used Mach to beat Andre if you needed to, with an elbow drop and a
you could have had Hogan come in, body
could have had Hogan,
drop
I mean, whatever they wanted to do with it, they could have done.
Right.
I've got a what if.
Okay.
What if Mach would have been the third man in the NWO instead of Hogan?
I don't think it would have went over as well, and I don't say that as any disrespect to the Macho Man, because Lord knows
it was designed for Hogan to be mega.
Hogan was, just gonna say it, and crucify me if you want. Hogan was the bigger draw.
Oh no, I totally agree. Well, also it was,
of course, originally the third man was supposed to be Sting.
The first pick was supposed to be Sting, which it was such a better decision keeping him the opposition. And again,
with Hogan being late to the building, that was the go. That was what they had planned. If Hogan didn't show as Sting was going to be the third man.
The other thing, we talked about it before, Sting never should have joined the NWO later on.
No.
He should have always been the guy who never joined.
He should have never had an allegiance either way. He should have just been Sting.
But when you come out of Crockett's WCW into World Championship Wrestling, Sting being the opposition to especially a Hogan, who in that period of time, in 86 and 87, that was the dream match. Sting and Hogan. Sting was making more money than Crockett. Crockett was making more money.
Well, actually, technically, your dream match was Flair and Hogan.
Yes.
For the longest time.
But you get to the point where Sting has that super hot run after he takes the belt, and then they fuck it up with him getting hurt and putting it on Luger. But anyway, they should have pulled the trigger on Luger the first time, and they pulled it the second time the wrong way.
Yeah.
But anyway, you have that super hot run with that, and that's what gets people talking about this idea for Hogan and Sting one day. And we finally get there after the NWO build, after the transition from the territories, after the transition from it just times out so perfectly leading into Starrcade when you look at it as like a 5-year plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah. As far as Macho being the third person, I don't think that the NWO would have went on the steady rise that it did. Because I think when you think Macho Man, you think he's not all there. Like his character has always been the madness, and to make him ahead of a heel wrestling faction, I
wouldn't have got over.
Yeah, I just don't think. Also, Hogan wouldn't have got over if it wasn't for National Hall anyway.
Right. Well, and it would have diluted to. We talked about it before here on the show how good of a heel Mach was in '97. I think the NWO would have diluted that a little bit. Like him being able to be the crazy fucking nut job heel that is super obsessed and a lunatic.
I also think that it would have been epic if the British Bulldog would have... It was originally planned for him to be the fourth man in the jump ship.
Yeah.
But I think...
Should have been Bret Hart.
Would have been Nash, Hall, Hogan, and Bulldog to start off everything.
Right, because it was all former... The original plan was supposed to be all former WWF guys.
Right, and the original fourth man to the NWO was the Giant.
Yes.
And then, of course, fifth was Ted DiBiase, followed by six. But yeah, I think the Bulldog would have been in.
Yeah, I agree.
Better than the Bulldog we got when he come back to WWE.
Oh, yeah, big time.
With
the jeans and the boots and the short hair. And you can tell that he was still physically in shape, but you can tell he really wasn't.
Well, he had broke his back in 93,
94,
93.
Somewhere in there.
On the trapdoor. Yeah. Actually, it would have been...
93.
Yeah, on the trapdoor in the ring. No. Was in 90... Yeah, no, it was 93.
I'm
Something
pretty
like
sure.
that.
Could
Something
be
like
wrong.
that.
Could be wrong.
It was on a trapdoor that...
Yeah.
No, it was when the war... I thought the warrior had come up to the ring trapdoors, but they landed on it bad. That would have been 98. Yeah, that would have fit.
WCW, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because he did
Okay,
that WCW run, and then he went back to be part of
That makes more sense.
He broke his back on the trapdoor because no one had told him it was
I was
there.
thinking about the neck injury he got in 93.
That's
So,
what. Yeah, that's
never
why I
mind.
was confused. But anyway, he would have been a success. But Macho, I just don't know.
Macho.
September 13th, 1998.
98. Oh, wow, actually, that would have been a recent history point we could have touched on. Very cool. Well, guys, that's our 2 posed what-if questions for this time. We're going to keep doing this segment, I think, where I'm going to come up with a what-if. He's going to come up with a what-if. Max is going to be allowed to come up with a what-if under heavy monitored and heavily edited and heavily redacted scrutiny after what he did.
As long as the off-screen dad tells you.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway.
I can't help it. That's my conspiracy.
Stay tuned for something else. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Throwdown. Send us an email at prowrestlingthrowdown@gmail.com. Leave us a comment, subscribe, like, and stay tuned. What's next? Hold on. Let me tell you when I open up my handy-dandy notebook. Fuck you, Steve, and also fuck you, Cameron Grimes.
Fuck Cameron Grimes.
The mailbag is up next. So stay tuned for that, fucker.
Us.